Hey, what's up everybody, this is Tattoo Bard and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I've got another cool machine to review for you guys. So let's open it up and see what's inside. So just over here we got a nice box from XNET. Open it up and see what's inside. We got the XNET Vipera right here. It's an adjustable stroke kind of machine. You can adjust it anywhere from 4.2 to 3.9, 3.6, 3.3, 3.0, 2.7 and 2.4. It has a battery that clicks off, kind of the same as what it is with the Dragon Hog. And right over here we have a little converter plug. If you do want to use it with the RCA, you can do so. It even comes with a cable if you don't have one yet, which is very nice, but mainly I use this one wireless because this battery will last for a really long time. What I also really like about this machine, has a big fire button right here. If you click it, it automatically turns on. It's at 9 volts right now, which I used it for lining. It does turn on automatic when you turn on the machine. That's something I don't necessarily like all the time, but it's okay. I mean, you just click it one more time and it turns off. And what I really like about this machine is the display. Now, it gives your typical timer, your battery, your voltage, but then in the bottom here it shows the frequency of the machine, which can be really nice. Right now it's 111 Hertz, which is the frequency, and you can see if you turn it up, it'll automatically obviously go up in frequency, which can be really helpful. It can give you some guidelines of like what is a good frequency for lining and things like that. I know for the people who have been using coils for a long time, they know, like, kind of when you were tuning, you could see the hertz on the screen sometimes of the, for example, like a Hurricane power supply, or I used to have a Venom PS power supply that showed the frequency even for rotary machines, because back then there wasn't really a lot of power supplies that showed the frequency for rotaries. And now you just kind of have that built in. It's just a nice little feature to see the frequency on there as well, because for each machine it is kind of a guessing game. Like, the voltage is not always the same, but if you kind of know your way around the frequency, this can be really helpful. Now, just like any other adjustable kind of machine, you can adjust the stroke by twisting this, and right at the bottom here you can adjust the grip to change your needle depth. Now, I do have to say, as you can see right here, when you adjust the grip you really have to hold on to the bottom part, because if you don't, it's gonna adjust the stroke on you really easy, because the grip is a lot tighter to adjust, like a lot harsher than the stroke adjustment. So I think if they need to improve something about this machine, is probably make this one a little bit softer, like how this one clicks, and then make the stroke adjustment a lot tougher to turn, because now it is kind of all over the place. If you're working and you're like, oh, I just need to change my needle depth a little bit, and you're not careful, it changes the stroke on you. Which, if you do soft shading and out of nowhere it turns to 4.2, that can be a little bit of a bummer. It can ruin the tattoo actually. So that's something you have to be careful about when you're using this machine. I have been using this machine for the second day of the convention. If you haven't seen my convention video yet, I will post the link in the description, or you can go over to my channel and look at it there. I did some really nice tattoos with this, and as you can see, because I haven't charged it yet, after it's at 75%. Now I think I have tattooed a good 4 to maybe 6 hours with this one, and it still has 75% on the battery, which I think is really good. It's a solid machine. It's a lot bigger than some of the other machines. Let's just compare it, for example, to the Dragonhawk machine. It may not show that much on camera, but I got the Dragonhawk Fold Pro, which is really light and small machine if you compare it to the XNET Vipera. The motor does exactly the same thing. This one is super light, this one is a lot heavier, and it's a lot bigger. You can see that in the grip. And you can see it in length as well. Now I do have to say, the battery on the Fold Pro doesn't last as long as this one, so it's kind of like a decision you have to make. If you want to have like a long battery life, then this one is probably better. It's a little bit of a heavier machine. I always like a bit of a heavier machine because it feels more stable, but if you have really soft hands, problem with your hands, or not liking heavy machines, then I would recommend this a little bit more. But yeah, you do have to charge it more often. The stroke adjustments are exactly the same. Now if you want to see a video where I'm gonna be comparing these two machines next to each other, make sure you write it down in the comments so we can make a video about that. Other than that, let's get this one ready to tattoo with and get some practice skin ready and show you how this machine works, so stay tuned. But before we are moving on, I just want to remind you it is more important now than ever to subscribe to my channel. We are getting so close to the 1,000 subscribers, and yeah, I cannot lie about it. I do want to get this channel monetized so I can bring out a lot more cooler videos for you guys, because making videos like these costs money. I have to buy my machines. Sometimes I get them sent to me and I'm very lucky for that. But the more subscribers I get, the more exposure I can give to companies, and the more likely they will send out machines to me to test them out for you. So make sure you do subscribe, it's free, like my videos, and leave a comment in what you want to see in a future video, and I'm gonna try the best I can to get you the best video that you want to see. So as you may have noticed from previous reviews, we got a little bit of practice skin. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do a little bit of lining and shading with the 4.2 stroke. I'm gonna do the same thing with the 3.3 and the 2.4 stroke. Now the needles we're gonna be using is, I actually got some needles sent to me by Dragon Pestle. I am gonna do a review on these cartridges. We got a 3-round liner and a 7 soft edge magnum that I'm gonna be using for the fine lines and the shading, and then I got one of the Saber cartridges that I always use to do reviews with, which is a 11-round liner, which I'm gonna do a bolder outline with and see how it goes. Okay, so let's do 11-round liner, 4.2 stroke. We're using it currently at 9 volts. So here we go. As you can see, that goes in really solid and smooth. I don't have to put on any pressure, and it's a very stable feeling machine. Let's quickly go from 4.2 to 3.3, and we're gonna do the same thing. It is a little bit harder to push lines into practice skin with the 3.3. I don't think you are going to use the 3.3 stroke if you're going to do bold lines on someone. Practice skin looks good. You can see that it is not quite as thick as the 11 round liner should be. Alright, and let's do the same thing for the 2.4 stroke. I don't know if you can hear it on the video, but you can hear that the machine is really struggling to get this line in. Okay, now we are going to stay at the 2.4 millimeter stroke, and we're going to see how that works with the 3 round liner. These are the Dragon Pestle cartridges. They have like a nice silicone tip on the cartridge as well, to get like a little bit more comfortable on your finger. I'm really excited to use these because I haven't used these really, so this is going to be my first time as well. Alright, that's in. Cool, sounds good. So we're still on 2.4. This is a 3 round liner. Let's see how she does. Even on the 2.4 it feels like a very nice cartridge to work with. Let's go to 3.3. Alright. That is feeling very nice. Especially what I like, because it's such a small needle that it's in there really steady. It's not moving around and you still get a nice ink flow. That's what I always like when you're using small needles like that. But yeah, there is a review coming about these needles if you want to have a closer look at what they look like, how they work and stuff like that. It is coming in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned. Now we're gonna go to the 4.2. Now you can feel the 4.2 millimeter stroke is probably a little bit too powerful for a small needle like this, but it works. I definitely think if you use a smaller needle, you want to stay like around the 3.3 and 3.9, like in between this. Probably 3.6 is what I would use for fine line, and then 3.9 or 4.2 for larger needles to line with. Now we're gonna do a little bit of shading. I'm gonna take the 7 Soft Edge Magnum, also from Dirk & Pastel, and see how that one works. If it works as nice as the liner needle, I'm gonna be super happy about this. Okay, let's stick with 4.2. I am gonna change the voltage down. I think 5.5. Could be faster. I'm just a really slow shader and liner. I like to keep my machines rather too slow than too fast. So here you go, 4.2. What's the frequency now? Frequency, it says like 41. I think that's really low, but let's see how it works. Here we go. Okay, yeah, I can see that that is probably a little bit too slow. Go to 6.5. Works pretty good. Just a nice whip shading, which is what you probably want to get if you use a larger stroke like this. If you want a softer shade, you're more gonna achieve that with a shorter stroke, I think. Back at the top, solid black. Alright, 4.2 definitely not the best way to go for soft shading. Let's try 3.3. Here we go. And you can tell if you're looking at the dots that the machine makes that it's a lot of a softer pattern, like the dots look a little bit smaller instead of a little bit thicker. So then you know that your shading is probably going to be softer in the end. And as you can see, it is achieving the result a little bit faster than with the 4.2. So this is something you want to consider if you are playing around with the strokes, is what achieves the goal that you want to achieve faster on your shading. Because if you have to keep going over and over and over, not only you're gonna spend a lot more time, but it's also gonna wear on the skin, so you have a higher chance of overworking the skin. Let's just touch up the top here, pack it a bit more solid. Alright. And you can see the color difference. At least I can. I don't know if you can on the video, but it looks a lot more solid black here than on the 4.2. It's a little bit of a difference. Now let's go to the 2.4, which is the shortest stroke on this machine. And let's do some shading. Here we go. Really nice soft transition in the shading. Let's pack the top. So you can definitely tell the difference in the shading. This being the 2.4, the 3.3 and the 4.2. You can see this is a lot harsher. Let's clean it a little bit. You can see it's a lot harsher if you compare it to the 2.4. It's a very smooth transition. It's definitely, if you, with this machine, if you want to do soft shading, use a short stroke. If you want to do packing, stay like around the 4.2 and the 3.9. And some of the more shading or color blending is going to be in this area where it's like 3.3 and maybe 3.9, 3.6, something like this. Play around in that area, and that's probably going to give you the best results. But we're going to go back up top and talk a little bit more about this machine. So just give me a second and I'll be right back. So the XNET Vipera or the XNET Bestia is basically two machines. I saw XNET posting a lot of things about the Bestia, and I was wondering like what is actually the difference, because they all look so similar. So I wrote him a comment. I was like, what is actually the difference between the Bestia and the Vipera? And he said the only difference is basically the shape of the grip. So this is actually a 2-in-1 review. It's about the Bestia and Vipera, even though I only have the Vipera here, but the only difference is the grip. The machine is exactly the same. Now, what do I think about this machine? I am actually loving this machine. How it runs, how it works, especially the short strokes are so nice for the soft and smooth shading. It's a very nice liner, and I think that's also the case because it has a little bit of weight to it. Now, people who are used to working with coils will probably agree with me that a little bit of a heavier machine will help you pull lines a lot more steady than a very light machine, because you don't get the bounce on the skin. But yeah, it is a little bit of a heavier machine. If you are not used to using a heavy machine, maybe this is not the machine for you. Maybe it is if you are experiencing problems with a machine that's really light, so you don't get nicer line work and stuff like that. This machine can definitely do it. The battery lasts forever, which is really nice, because you can tattoo a big day session with this and you don't have to worry about the battery life, which I think is absolutely amazing and something that I think is really important, because I would hate it if the battery died on me during the tattoo. So those are definitely things that I really like. Now, things I don't necessarily like is that the stroke adjustments adjust itself very easy if you are changing the grip, especially if this machine is wrapped. It's going to be really difficult to change the stroke or the needle depth without moving things around. I had this problem in one of the tattoos I did. I adjusted a little bit on my needle because I didn't get the ink flow that I wanted, and I was shading and I was like, why is my shading not as soft as it was before? And that's simply because I adjusted the stroke from, I think, 3.0 or something like that all the way to 3.9, which is gonna give you a really harder shading. I was like, what happened? Like, what am I doing wrong? I looked at the machine and I saw I adjusted the stroke. I had to change it back and continued, but yeah, that is something that is not what you want to happen during a tattoo. But now that I know that this happens, I just make sure whenever I adjust the grip, I just pay a little bit closer attention that I don't adjust the stroke on me, which is just a minor thing if you think of it. But if you just, yeah, if you're working and you're adjusting and you want, oh, I need my needle a little bit further out, stuff like that, and you adjust the stroke, that really sucks. But yeah, so if you have this machine or if you want to use this machine, this is something you have to pay attention to. Other than that, I really enjoy using this machine. I actually have used it the whole day, and I think I will use it a little bit more often. So tattoos that are gonna come to my channel are probably gonna be done with this one. So make sure you watch those videos as well. And other than that, about this machine, I don't have a lot more to say. Now, I do have to say that in next week's video, I'm gonna review another really amazing machine. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you do subscribe to my channel. And yeah, then you don't miss a thing. We are getting super close, like I said, to the 1,000 subscribers. I am super happy about it, and I just want to take a minute to thank everybody of you, and I want to thank all the companies who put the trust in me, that want to send me out a machine like XNET. I actually reached out to them and asked if I could test this machine for them, and showed them some of the videos that I did for other companies, and they actually sent this one to me. So I'm also very thankful to XNET. Thank you very much for sending this machine to me to test it out for you, and to show it to you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you like and put a comment on this video. Let me know what you actually thought of this, and maybe things I could improve, because I always like to hear that. So make sure you do that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I see you in next week's video.